In a cozy little cottage, tucked away in the countryside, lived a kind-hearted girl named Cinderella. Every day, she worked hard, sweeping the floors and taking care of the house. Her stepsisters, Cassandra and Olivia, lounged in fancy dresses and teased her, but Cinderella never complained. She smiled softly, wishing for something magical to happen. One sunny afternoon, a cheerful bird flew through the enchanted forest, carrying a golden invitation. It fluttered to Cinderella's window, where her stepsisters eagerly grabbed it. "A grand ball at the palace!" they shouted excitedly. Cinderella stood quietly in the background, her heart longing to go, but she knew her stepmother would never allow it. That evening, as Cinderella sat alone in the garden, feeling sad, a soft glow filled the air. Suddenly, a beautiful fairy godmother appeared, sparkling with magic. With a gentle smile, she waved her wand, and in an instant, a pumpkin turned into a golden carriage, mice became sleek horses, and even the dog became the coachman. Cinderella's plain dress transformed into a dazzling gown, and sparkling glass slippers appeared on her feet. "Go to the ball, my dear," the fairy godmother said. "But remember, the magic will wear off at midnight." With a magical wave of her wand, Cinderella's simple dress turned into the most beautiful gown anyone had ever seen. Sparkling with soft blues and silvers, her hair was styled in lovely curls, and on her feet, the most enchanting glass slippers appeared. Cinderella spun around in awe, feeling like she was in a dream. The fairy godmother smiled warmly. "Now go, but remember, before the clock strikes 12, you must leave the ball." Cinderella's golden carriage rolled up to the grand palace, glowing under the moonlight. The ballroom was magnificent, with glittering chandeliers and colorful windows. Everyone turned to look as Cinderella entered, her gown sparkling like the stars. The prince, with a warm smile, saw her from across the room and walked toward her, his eyes filled with wonder. Cinderella's heart fluttered as they danced together, surrounded by twinkling lights. The music played softly as Cinderella and the prince danced gracefully in the center of the ballroom. The room was filled with golden light, and sparkling stars floated around them. They danced under the shimmering chandeliers, smiling at each other, feeling as though the world was perfect, just for them. But as the clock on the wall slowly approached midnight, Cinderella's heart raced. She glanced at the time, her eyes wide with panic. "I must go," she whispered. With a hurried spin, she ran down the grand staircase, leaving behind one glass slipper. The prince called after her, but it was too late. The magic was fading, and Cinderella disappeared into the night. The next day, the prince was determined to find the girl who had stolen his heart. He held up the glass slipper and went from house to house, hoping it would fit the girl he danced with. Each girl tried, but the slipper didn't fit. The prince kept searching, his heart full of hope that he would find her again. Finally, the prince arrived at Cinderella's cottage. Her stepsisters tried to force the slipper on their feet, but it didn't fit. Then Cinderella stepped forward, and with a gentle smile, she slid her foot into the glass slipper. It fit perfectly. The prince's eyes sparkled with recognition and joy. "It's you!" he exclaimed, his heart racing with happiness. The prince took Cinderella's hand and led her to the palace. The kingdom rejoiced as Cinderella and the prince were finally reunited. No longer lonely, Cinderella was full of joy, and together they walked through the gardens, surrounded by flowers, soft glowing lights, and happiness. At last, the day came for Cinderella and the prince to marry. The royal palace was filled with guests, and the air was filled with love and joy. Cinderella and the prince stood together, smiling, as everyone cheered for their happiness. The soft glow of the moon shone on them as they exchanged vows, ready to begin their new life together.